We are anonymous. No faces, no flags, no permission slips. We exist where power assumes silence, where obedience is expected, and where failure hides behind closed doors until someone forces the lights on. And right now, Donald Trump is not just losing control. He is unraveling in public. What you are about to hear is not rumor, not exaggeration, not parody. It is real. Real photos, real audio, real behavior. A real meltdown by a man who wants the authority of leadership without the discipline, restraint, or responsibility that leadership demands. Donald Trump just held a disastrous briefing with Republicans in Congress about the invasion of Venezuela. This was supposed to be a moment of reassurance, unity, and clarity. Instead, it became a rambling, chaotic spectacle that exposed how fragile and incoherent his grip on reality has become. He chose to do it at the Kennedy Center, a national cultural institution he has effectively vandalized and rebranded in his own image, casually treating it as if it belonged to him. From the moment Trump walked into that room, something was visibly wrong. His posture was slouched, his gestures erratic, his tone defensive and aggrieved. This was not a leader delivering a plan. This was a man trying to justify himself, not to the public, but to his own party, because even he can feel the support slipping. And then he explained why he invaded Venezuela. Not strategy, not national security, not humanitarian concern. Dancing. Trump told Republicans that Nicolas Maduro angered him because Maduro tried to imitate Trump's dance, and Trump did not like the way he was dancing.
Years, and he's a violent guy. He gets up there and he tries to imitate my dance a little bit. But he's a violent guy.
That was not a joke. Multiple major outlets reported that Trump was genuinely upset, even enraged by the idea that Maduro was mocking him and trying to outshine him. A personal grievance over attention, and ego sat right next to decisions involving military force, sanctions, oil fields, and lives. This is not leadership. This is narcissism weaponized. The spiral continued. Trump pivoted without warning from dance moves to oil drilling. He bragged that he would be meeting with 14 oil companies, presenting it as proof of competence. Then he laid out the real plan: drill Venezuelan oil, flood the market, drive down prices.
With them all, 14 companies. I'm meeting with them all. I'm also meeting with oil companies. Let's go. You know what that's about. We've got a lot of oil to drill, which is going to bring down oil prices even further. But
buried inside that boast was the truth. The American taxpayer would subsidize it, potentially up to $100 billion. Why? Because the oil companies themselves do not want to spend their own money. They do not believe Venezuela is stable. They do not think it is a smart investment. They refuse to take the risk. So Trump floated the idea that ordinary Americans should foot the bill, while corporations reap the reward. This is not free markets. This is corporate welfare enforced by military power. Then Trump veered off again into an obsession that has followed him for years: cognitive exams. He declared once again that he was the only president to pass one. He complained about how difficult it was. He spoke about it the way someone speaks when they are trying to convince themselves more than anyone else.
I believe in it. I'm the only one that took a cognitive test. It's the worst.
Then came the moment that revealed everything. Trump looked at Republicans in the room and asked them why the American people do not like what they are doing. He insisted all his policies are great. He demanded to know what is wrong with the public's mind.
But they say that when you win the presidency, you lose the midterm. So you're all brilliant people. Most of you are in this business longer than me. That makes me smarter than you. Because look where I am, right? No, it doesn't. But I wish you could explain to me what the hell's going on with the mind of the public, because we have the right policy. They don't. They have a horrible policy. They do stick together. They're violent. They're vicious. They're vicious people.
This is the worldview of someone who cannot process accountability. In Trump's world, disagreement is not feedback. It is betrayal. It is malfunction. It is proof that someone else must be broken. He told the room they were brilliant, but implied he must be smarter than them because of where he ended up. He tried to disguise it as humor, but it landed as insecurity. He wanted reassurance. He wanted someone to tell him the voters were wrong, not him. Then he turned on his own staff. Not Democrats, not the press. His staff. He complained that they reported he had lunch instead of listing everything he did that day. He called it malfeasance. He admitted those reports fueled stories that he is slowing down. He admitted those stories hurt him and take time to recover from. Let that sink in. A president discussing an invasion, admitting he needs emotional recovery time from media criticism. The room stayed quiet. Trump returned again to cognitive exams, insisting every president and vice president should be forced to take one.
We should give everybody, like, these competency tests, right? The cognitive, they call it cognitive. You know, I'm the only president that went for cognitives. I think every president and vice president should be forced to take cognitive exams, mental tests, like...
The repetition was not confidence. It was fixation. Then he joked about canceling elections. He framed it as humor, saying maybe they should not even have to run against Democrats. Then he caught himself and said he would not say cancel elections because people would call him a dictator.
We had the worst president, did the worst job, they had the worst policy. We have to even run against these people. Now, I won't say cancel the election. They should cancel the election because the fake news will say, he wants the elections canceled. He's a dictator. They always call me a dictator. Nobody's worse than Obama.
The thought escaped before the filter kicked in. That is how authoritarian impulses surface, not through formal announcements, but through jokes that reveal desire. Then, without any connection, he attacked Barack Obama. No context, no relevance, just resentment. A man who has been out of office for years, still living inside Trump's head. And then Trump returned again to dancing. He bragged that people love to see him dance. He said his wife tells him not to. He asked whether Franklin D. Roosevelt would dance, apparently oblivious to the historical weight of that comparison. He mimicked crowds chanting for him to dance. He talked about weightlifting. He rambled about someone crying on stage. The laughter in the room was nervous, not amused. This was not storytelling. This was craving. Trump needs applause the way others need oxygen. Without it, he panics. Without it, he spirals. Then he claimed that everyone in Venezuela is marching in the streets and loving the invasion. That is false. Reports indicate fear, confusion, and instability. Armed groups tied to remnants of the Maduro regime remain active. Trump abandoned the opposition leader Maria Corina Machado and effectively replaced one authoritarian structure with another. Even Venezuelans who once supported intervention are now asking how they are supposed to return home if the same regime power remains intact under a new name. Trump does not care. In his world, perception replaces reality. He attacked protesters, mocking their appearance, their clothing, and their intelligence. He claimed they were paid actors. He claimed the press refuses to interview them.
So we can't let them forget that we did such a great job on the border. By the way, Venezuela, everyone, they're marching in the streets. They love it, except in New York. I mean, where they find these people? These people, they're not like, these people are a mess. I know it's not nice to say that. These people are a mess. Where do they find these people? They're the worst looking people I've ever seen. They got hats that are all frayed and they look like, they're all paid. They don't even know what they're talking. When the reporters don't interview them because they know that it's, the press is so anti. It's hard to believe the press could be so anti because it's all common sense. It's not, we're conservative, whatever.
This is textbook authoritarian language. Dehumanize dissent. Dismiss it as staged. Strip it of legitimacy. Then he attacked the press again, boasting about how much negative coverage he gets, and declaring that it proves the media has no credibility.
Not even conservative, it's common sense. But the press has no credibility whatsoever. Think of it. I got 97% bad stories on one network, 93% on the other, and I won in a landslide. You know what that means? The press has no credibility. That's all it means. And we got to keep it that way. So I don't talk too much.
In Trump's mind, criticism is not evidence of failure. It is proof that institutions themselves are corrupt. Then he praised soldiers in Washington, saying they make him feel safe.
And I don't know about you, but to me, those soldiers standing there look so good. I'm not going to feel safe walking down the street without them. I don't think you would either. Even though, we took out so many criminals, I just feel better. To me, they're beautiful. I look at these soldiers and you feel safe. You feel safe. I don't think if we took them out, even if the crime wasn't much, it would definitely be more. We did a great job in Chicago.
He suggested Americans should not feel safe without soldiers in the streets. He implied the presence of armed forces in the Capitol is comforting rather than alarming. This is not subtle. Then he lied about drug prices, inventing percentages that defy basic math. Prices cannot drop more than 100%, yet he confidently spoke about 1,000% reductions, while reality shows hundreds of drug prices increasing year after year.
10 to 20 or 30, and ours would go from $13 down to, meaning $130 down to 20 or 30. So it's a huge drop for us. Now, depending on the way you calculate it, it could be thousands of percent down. It could also be 90% and 80%. You know, there's two ways of calculating. I don't know if you know. They said Donald Trump exaggerated. No, there are two ways of calculating it. But calculate it at 80, 90%. But the other way is more accurate, like 900%, because that's what it really is.
Then he randomly identified Senator Tim Scott as a straight guy. Unnecessary, bizarre, pointless.
Scott, who's a great guy, great, wonderful guy, South Carolina, straight guy, right? He is a good guy, good person.
Then he called himself the king. He claimed he sold more Boeing planes than any human being in history, over 1,000 planes, claiming awards and unmatched greatness, none of it supported by facts, all of it delivered with absolute certainty.
A big problem with it. I'm the king. I have sold more Boeings than any human being on earth. They gave me an award, Salesman of the Year. I said, what about Salesman of the in the history of Boeing? I've sold more Boeing planes than any man in history by far, probably over 1,000. Over 1,000 planes. I said, that's the good news. But why should they wait 3-4 years to get a plane? They should build them, get them immediately.
Then he told a story about tariffs magically producing $39 billion that no one else could explain, framing it as proof that only he understands the system, that only he sees what others miss.
What are you saying? We just don't know where it came from. I said, check the tariff shelf. Sir, that tariff doesn't start until September. He said, no. It started about a month and a half ago. Check it. Comes back 25 minutes later. Sir, you were right. It came from tariffs. This never happened to us before, where we find plus 39 billion, not million, plus 39 billion. They were missing.
Then he praised religious people as honest, except when they are not, and threatened those who crossed him.
Religious? I like that. He's a religious person. I like that. I like religious people. It usually means they're more honest. Sometimes it doesn't happen that way. I've had some real religious ones that did numbers on me, and I said, I'm going to get them someday. They got me by surprise, but it's usually good, okay, right? And his name is Mike Johnson, Speaker Mike Johnson.
Even compliments become transactional in Trump's world. And finally, he said the quiet part out loud. When asked about the difference between invading Venezuela and the disaster in Iraq, Trump said the difference was simple. Bush did not keep the oil. Trump said the United States will keep the oil. He said it clearly. He said it proudly. He said it on the record. This is not liberation. This is not democracy. This is extraction backed by force. This was not a briefing. This was not strategy. This was a meltdown disguised as authority. And the most damning part is not what Trump said. It is what Republicans did not say. They sat there, nodded, applauded, and allowed this to pass as normal. This is how institutions decay, not with explosions, but with silence. We are anonymous. We do not forget. We do not normalize. We do not look away. If this disturbed you, it should. If this frightened you, good. If this angered you, act. Share this, subscribe, stay engaged, and hold power accountable. Because when leaders stop making sense, the danger is not confusion. The danger is obedience.